Hey there, in this video we're going to cover the different types of planks, how to progress, which ones hit the transverse abdominis more and which ones hit the abs more, specifically the rectus abdominis. The first exercise we're going to do for the transverse abdominis is a regular plank. When performing this exercise, make sure you keep the knees straight and the hips, lower back, and upper back should all be in a straight line. Make sure that the knees do not bend, that the hips don't move up and lower back arches. Now a plank will hit the rectus abdominis because if you lose to gravity, that lumbar will extend. So that rectus abdominis function in this exercise would be to prevent that lumbar from extending. But it does hit the transverse abdominis too because you're only supported on your feet and your forearms. So the environment here is pretty unstable. For example, if you bend your knees and round the lumbar, it'll be a lot easier to perform this exercise and you'll be able to do it a lot longer. But you'll be using that rectus abdominis a lot more than the transverse abdominis. Because the rectus abdominis flexes the lumbar, but the transverse abdominis neutralizes the lumbar by creating abdominal pressure. Now if you progress to a weighted plank, this will still hit the transverse abdominis, but this will actually hit the rectus abdominis more because the plate's right on top of the lumbar. There's more resistance trying to push that lumbar into extension, while that rectus abdominis is staying in an isometric contraction, preventing that lumbar from extending. Because the rectus abdominis can only prevent that lumbar from extending. It cannot prevent that lumbar from flexing, rotating, or lateral flexing. But the transverse abdominis can prevent the lumbar from doing all those things by creating abdominal pressure. So if we progress from a regular plank and make the environment more unstable like this here by taking an arm and the opposite leg off, we'll be making the environment more unstable. So not only does the lumbar need to not excessively extend, but it also could easily rotate or lateral flex, and it also could just do regular flexion too. As you can see, in my lumbar is kind of starting to round a bit. So to overall progress in the plank, you can add weight and make the environment here more unstable. So this will really hit the transverse abdominis a lot more. This will also hit the rectus abdominis more, but I would say it would focus a lot more on the transverse abdominis because, yeah, gravity's only pulling that weight toward the ground, so that means it's making it harder to prevent that lumbar from going into extension. But the lumbar could easily rotate to either side, so the transverse abdominis is going to need to create the abdominal pressure to neutralize the lumbar, and as that lumbar rotates slightly toward a side, it's going to be very hard for it to rotate back, because as it rotates, that plate is going to start to kind of slide off, which is going to push that lumbar into more rotation. So yeah, that plate's only getting pulled toward the ground, but that doesn't mean it's only pushing that lumbar into extension while the rectus abdominis is preventing that from happening. The transverse abdominis is preventing it from extending and preventing the lumbar from rotating and lateral flexing. So just a quick review on form. Do not arch that lower back like I'm doing right here, or in this version either. Make sure you don't bend the knees and round the lower or upper back like I'm doing right here, or in this version either. So make sure your form looks just like this here, with the thighs, hips, and back all in a straight line. Now if you struggle with your form despite concentrating very hard on it, I would suggest you assess your posture. So watch that first video at the top, and then it'll explain which of those videos to watch below to fix your posture, which will make it much easier to plank with great form. Now if you're looking to learn step by step step-by-step how to write out your own training program and make modifications to your training based off your individual needs, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you get notified every time I make a video.